Hey, hey everyone, and welcome to our Facebook Live. Very excited to see you out there in interweb land. I am really excited to introduce our speaker today, Noelle Ville. She's an assistant professor at the University of Buffalo School of Social Work. She'll be one of our featured speakers at the NASW New Jersey conference to be held virtually May 1st and 2nd. You can register at thefutureofsocialwork.org. Dr. St. Ville will be talking about or giving an overview of Black male-female relationships, post-traumatic slave syndrome, and intimate partner violence, talking about the implications for culturally specific social work interventions. Hi, Dr. St. Ville. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, really excited. Want to start off with the question, what is this work important?
Well, this work's important because it helps really to contextualize the statistics that we see concerning the Black family, and specifically when we look at Black male-female relationships. We see statistics concerning the high rates of single female-headed households, low marriage rates among Black people, high divorce rates. And these statistics are often provided in isolation, and they fail to tell the story behind the statistics. And so with my work and in this presentation, I'm going to use post-traumatic slave syndrome as a framework and a lens to help us understand how these statistics came to be and how Black people have adapted to oppression over time. The framework with post-traumatic slave syndrome, it allows us to see the role of racism and structural inequality that has been present since Black people were kidnapped and brought to this country, and the experiences of ongoing oppression to this present day, and seeing how that contributes to and impacts Black male-female relationships. The racism, inequality that we have experienced has resulted in these statistics, these disproportionate numbers. We see when we look at statistics that impact the Black family is Black male incarceration rates, the high unemployment rates of Black men, a decrease in educational attainment for Black men compared to Black women. And so when we look at that with regards to Black male-female relationships, we see that, and we see that in this country, we uphold the patriarchal nuclear family structure, where we see men as breadwinners, ideally, and that's how the male role has been defined. But because of these experiences of inequality, we see that that's not the case when we look at many Black male-female relationships. And so because of this, we may see some conflict and some tension with Black men and Black women in heterosexual relationships, trying to figure out how to navigate and recreate roles. And if you're unable to do this successfully, some of the tension, the conflict, it increases the chances of divorce, increases the chances of separation, or single single female-headed households. It also could result in some cases in higher rates of intimate partner violence. We know that when we look at the Black community, Black women experience more severe types of intimate partner violence. And we also see higher rates of intimate partner violence in the Black community. And part of this stems from, of course, the structural inequality, experiences of oppression, increased stressors, the inability to deal with these stressors. And so using post-traumatic slave syndrome as a lens will really help us to understand all of the dynamics that are going on in Black male-female relationships, so that we can begin to address these dynamics accordingly.
Yeah, relationships are tough enough, aren't they, without all the things that you mentioned. Let me ask you, what was your interest in this work? How did you get involved in this research?
And so my interest in Black male-female relationships actually evolved, I think, from just growing up. I grew up in a small town in California, and just kind of looking around at friends and looking at my household and recognizing that me, a few of my friends were some of the few people from Black households with two parents. And also seeing how many of my friends who are also Black who didn't have two-parent households. And so I think always kind of just wondered, seeing kind of the differences, kind of what's going on with those dynamics. I've also had family, friends, loved ones who have experienced intimate partner violence, which has piqued my interest in wanting to know more and do more to address this issue.
Beautiful. So your framework is incredibly interesting. What kind of interventions will you be talking about? What kind of solutions can we expect?
And so we're really talking about the need for culturally specific interventions. And so in the presentation, I'll talk about what that is and what that means, and why it's important. We tend to have a kind of one size fits all approach, particularly when it comes to intimate partner violence. And intimate partner violence, we tend to use a more type of feminist framework focused toward helping white women or white middle class women that may not be relevant for the context and the lived realities of Black women. And so we'll talk about the key components of culturally specific interventions, and then what that should look like specifically as it relates to intimate partner violence.
That's beautiful. You know, we looked around the country for academics who were doing this kind of research, and we are so thrilled and honoured that you agreed to present at the conference. Is there anything you'd like to add, Dr. St. Phil?
No, I'm just excited. I'm excited for this presentation. I'm excited for the participants, and I hope that participants walk away with a better understanding of how structure has contributed to the statistics that we see with regards to Black male-female relationships, and then how we as a field and profession of social work can begin to address some of these issues through culturally specific interventions. So.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. And I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you again.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
All right.